Hello, all. Welcome to ReelQuick, episode 116. Back with George and Tyler. As you know, if you've been watching this for a long time, you probably figured out we record all these on the same day. Seth's still with his family. Hope he's doing well. Hope he's enjoying that. But today we are reviewing Her from Spike Jonze, possibly Spike Jones. We're not
definitely Jones.
I don't think it is. I think I'm going to go look at my.
I swear
this is deja vu.
Jones.
If you watch this is deja vu. If you watch the episode, I'm going to go look at my. Someone comment. Let us know how it's pronounced, please. It might be like Jones or something. That could be something like crazy.
Maybe it's Jonze.
It might be. It could be. You don't know. But starring Joaquin Phoenix, a sensitive and soulful man earns a living by writing personal letters for other people. Left heartbroken after his marriage end, Theodore, played by Joaquin Phoenix, becomes fascinated with a new operating system which reportedly develops into an intuitive and unique entity in its own right. He starts the program and meets Samantha, played by Scarlett Johanssen, who's a bright voice, reveals a sensitive, playful personality. Though friends, in quotes, initially the relationship soon deepens into love. Big cast in this one. We Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson. We mentioned Rooney Mara, Olivia Wilde, Amy Adams, Chris Pratt. Brian Cox is in this. Kristen Wiig. Big cast. Bill Hader, I didn't even realize was in this, and I watched it last night. So big cast. Tyler, I think you might be the highest on this. I don't know. I think we're all 5 stars, right? It's only Seth, and of course he can't be here this weekend, so we're gonna force him to watch it because I have this at a 95 out of 100. I know Tyler and George both have it at 5 stars, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll start with you, Tyler. Give us your initial thoughts. No real spoilers in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Her is just such a brilliant movie. It's and I didn't really realize this until, so shout out our patrons that I watched this and I watched along with the other day. I'm going to pull up Spike Jonze's filmography quick because I didn't notice until we watched this that his filmography is not deep at all. He's mostly a producer in Hollywood. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pulling it up so I have that correct answer. 4 is the number for movies. Directed 4 movies. He's directed 4. So Being John Malkovich was his debut. Then he had Adaptation, which is definitely his least recognizable. Then he had Where the Wild Things Are. And then Her was 2013, but he hasn't directed anything since. He's the producer of all the Jackass movies and a lot of music videos. So it seems like he might just be more a producer at this point in his life. But this is the only movie he wrote and directed. So it's very personal to him. I don't think it's any, well, I guess, I don't know. I feel like the thing about a podcast is, in my mind, I'm always like, film Twitter knows this is an obvious fact, but we got to know our audience is like people who are trying to learn more about movies. So can't just assume everyone knows everything. So this film is written about Spike Jonze's and Sofia Coppola's divorce.
Oh, really?
So her movie Lost in Translation is her perspective on their divorce, and his movie Her is his perspective on the divorce. So, from kind of what, again, we're not like spoiler. There's not really spoilers in this movie. It's about a guy, you know, the plot. He kind of falls in love with an AI voice. But you can kind of see he falls in love with his computer. Basically, he falls in love with this technology thing that isn't of the real world. And I think there can be a lot of symbols there because you see it in conversations with, I can't remember if it was either Rooney Mara or Amy Adams, who's like, you're always on your computer just talking to things that aren't like real. I think it could probably be because one of the reasons I looked up after that their marriage kind of fell out, that they both are very vocal about, is both of them were pursuing their careers. So I think there's a lot of parallels that, you know, you're stuck focusing on something that's not really of the real tangible world. And that ruins kind of your relationships with other people in the real world when you're so focused and your mind isn't there. But I think it's just such a brilliant screenplay that he did. I think, Joaquin Phoenix, we mentioned this on the ReelTok episode this week. I think this might be one of his best performances of all time, if not his best performance of all time. I love him in this. He's borderline unrecognizable, which, I mean, basically he just kind of tinted his hair kind of a lighter color brown and put on a mustache, but he truly just transforms. Whereas like in Napoleon, I'm like, oh, that's Joaquin Phoenix to put on a costume, you know? The supporting cast, like Cam mentioned, this cast is so stacked in this. So not surprisingly, the acting performances are great throughout. Hoyte Van Hoytema is a cinematographer on this. What's like the big notable movie he just did? Why can't I think of it?
Oppenheimer.
It was Oppenheimer. Okay, so yeah, he was cinematographer Oppenheimer. So you take a grounded romantic drama like this and give Oppenheimer cinematographer, the eventual Oppenheimer cinematographer is doing cinematography on this. This movie's gorgeous. It's beautiful. The colors, the shots, incredible. And then the score is also heartbreaking and gorgeous. Really, everything about this movie is just basically assembling a bunch of all-stars at the top of their craft to develop this movie. And I think it turned out to be one of my favorite movies of all time. Back when I used to do decimals, I gave it a 9.8 out of 10. I liked it even more on this rewatch. So who knows what that means? Is it a 9.9? Is it a 10? Doesn't matter because it's a 5 out of 5 stars. And yeah, that's kind of my quick kind of thoughts before we kind of get into the meat of the movie itself. But loved her. One of my favorite movies of all time, without a doubt. But yeah, and I worked at a AMC when this movie came out. And I remember I was turned off to this movie because I feel like everyone would come in and be like, oh yeah, there's that weird movie in theaters where a guy's in love with his computer. Like, what a sick, gross movie. And like in my mind, like it's just, you absorb through osmosis. Like I just heard it was like, oh, this must be like a movie for weirdos, like guys in love with his computer. Couldn't be farther from the truth.
In college, and I just turned it on in like in my room. And I just was watching it for the first time for no reason. My roommate walks in and he's like, it's the weird movie where the dude fucks the AI or something, like, which is an extreme simplification of it. And no, he does not fuck the AI, but like you could boil it down. You could boil it down to that, but it's so much fucking better than that, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
but I think that's just what the public perception of this movie was when like the trailer came out or something. Like barely anyone saw this movie. It got like 40 million at the box office, but I feel like everyone knows about her as like the movie where it's like, oh yeah, the dude's in love with his computer.
Yeah, it's just so much more than that. George, what are your thoughts?
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, I mean, pretty much the exact same thoughts as Tyler. I'm pretty much as high on this movie as he is. I think this is just one of the best romance films out there. It is a meticulously made movie where truly just every detail just seems to have been taken with just the utmost care. Obviously, Tyler mentioned Hoyte Van Hoytema's cinematography. This is one of those movies where you don't want to take your eyes off the screen because you just don't want to miss just the next beautiful shot that Hoyte Van Hoytema has in his bag. And I just think that aesthetic of this film just adds to the romance because it just makes it such a pleasing film to watch, both just visually on the eyes and as a romance film. I think as a romance film, it is just heartbreaking. Not only from Joaquin Phoenix, but I also think Amy Adams gives a really solid performance, and obviously her character goes through it a little bit. And this was, I believe, the second time they've ever been in a film together. I think The Master was the first. And I would have guessed that this was just the 10th or 11th film they've done together because they worked off of each other so well. And I just think both of their level of devastation is just really solid. If anyone listening wants to fact check me on that, by the way, I don't, maybe they have been in more movies together that I'm just blanking on. But as a romance film, I think this just works really well. And I think that personal touch that this is kind of like an unofficial sequel, like Tyler had mentioned, to Lost in Translation, where it's just kind of like, what am I thinking of? Clint Eastwood, his Letters to Iwo Jima and Letters from Iwo Jima, those two movies that are kind of sequels to each other, but it's two sides of the same story. And I just think that adds a lot of personal touch to this film, which just makes it that much more of a pleasing experience. But pretty much everything Tyler said, I completely agree with. The acting performances are brilliant. I find it funny. I think that this is the movie that Joaquin and Rooney Mara, I guess, fell in love with because their characters are obviously, and again, spoilers, sorry, but their characters are obviously going through a divorce. So I just find it funny that they kind of had to flip off that eventual romance and just play across each other as this, eventually divorced couple who clearly still maybe have feelings for each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. You go, Cam. What's up?
No, I thought you were done. I was trying to.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, 5 out of 5 for me. It's always been a 5 out of 5 for me. Yeah. It's a little lower on my list of the greatest movies ever, but I was looking at that list yesterday, and I think I might bump it up a little bit.
Yeah, 5 out of 5, 95 out of 100 for myself. I think this might be one of the best looking movies of all time. I think it looks better than even Oppenheimer. Same guy, like we said, but just like you said, Tyler, it's a simple movie about a guy who is learning. I would say he's learning how to love like properly with an AI rather than like falling in love with an AI. Even if he can't realize that at the time. I don't know why I thought of this, but it's like the Scooby Doo meme. Where it's like, well, it's a talking dog, it's like you could explain this movie as one of the most heartfelt stories between a man learning how to love, and then you could also explain it, he fucks an AI, right? You could explain it in both ways. I don't know why, I just kind of thought of that. But yeah, this movie just, I don't know. I'm like, I think I would have like probably teared up if I weren't, what did I watch this at, like 7 a.m. or something when I finished it. But basically, if you did not watch it and you're just listening to this, Joaquin Phoenix, like we mentioned in the synopsis, is a guy who writes letters, which is just an odd profession, but in
very
this
interesting profession.
Yeah, in this AI world, right? Sorry, I was trying to move the camera. In this AI world, he basically writes letters, and I read a couple of things just to kind of catch up with this movie a little bit. It's just like supposed to show like how much the human race just needs like more intimate things. And you can kind of see that in the real world with all these like MCU grand scale movies that are so like you can make them with billions of dollars, but you're not going to get any return on your investment if you don't have like this intimate storyline that people actually care about these characters. And so that was kind of interesting to see. He goes through this life, basically he's going through a divorce with Rooney Mara's character, Catherine, like George mentioned, but also trying to connect with Samantha, played by Scarlett Johansson. Basically, you go through their relationship. He thinks he's like falling in love with her, and it's kind of revealed at the end, like,
dude, wild reveal.
Wait, what? Maybe I'm not thinking of the same thing, or I am. Like
the one where she's talking to 8,000
yeah,
other dudes.
Yeah. Okay, yes, we were talking about the exact same. Yeah, no, it's like that. It's like that contrast. You can never like fully like you can, like AI and people don't work, right? Like she's doing the same thing to like 8,000 people, and hopefully teaching them how to be better. And now she's like gotten to this point where she's like learned everything she needs to know, and then just kind of disappears at the end. And then Joaquin Phoenix has gone through this growth, writes a letter to Catherine about all the things that went wrong. I don't think they get back together. Like, not really an ambiguous ending at all. Like, they don't get back together, but he's just gone through this growth and understands why their relationship didn't work. I don't know why, but on memory of this, I thought she had died. That wouldn't make the movie work at all. Like, clearly she didn't. But I like when I went back to it, I was like, oh, I swear I thought she died. Just a great movie. Not really like Easter eggs or teases or anything to bring up. It was interesting. I didn't know that fact about Spike Jonze. I looked it up. I was incorrect, and that's fine. Spike Jonze's relationship and how these two movies I got to watch. What was it you said? Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation.
That. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. It'll be interesting to.
They both won best screenplay at the Oscars, so just a powerhouse relationship to have a falling out in a relationship that both sides win an Oscar for telling the story of how they felt the relationship impacted their lives.
Very impressive.
You think that makes them happy that their relationship fell out? Like, lost my significant other, but I won an Oscar.
Sofia Coppola says she's never watched her and refuses to watch it because
that's probably fair.
Yeah, but she said like it would be too weird seeing Rooney Mara play herself. I think it'd be too weird seeing anyone play herself, but Rooney Mara's a good choice at least to play herself. Yeah. So
fantastic choice for sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else to say? It's just kind of a general like discussion movie. It like I said, there's not like there are deeper meanings obviously to this movie, but there's nothing to spoil or no Easter eggs to go into. But I think it's just kind of those. You go.
Yeah, I was gonna say like just before we kind of wrap up, like the thing I kind of mainly took away from her is just kind of the struggle of a man's like he's learning to love. But I think the thing I pulled from it, which the great thing about film, you can pull various things from it depending on who you are, but kind of the difference between like a relationship with a significant other and a relationship with your work. I think it's interesting that this is the last movie he wrote and directed. Again, he's been very, very active in the film community. It's just writing and directing hasn't necessarily been his strong suit since then. But I think a lot of this movie is just showing their struggle as two people that grew up in the industry. They grew up together, and I'm talking about Spike Jonze and Sofia Coppola, and became obviously both now are acclaimed directors. I mean, Spike Jonze doesn't have a deep filmography, but he's won an Oscar, so I'm going to call him acclaimed. And just how having such an artistic outlet in a career and trying to balance that with like a person you're in a relationship with, it just got to be such a hard thing when both people are in the same exact industry. And Sofia Coppola having that extra element of being Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, that probably just adds a whole ton of different pressure to her. But I just think it's just a fascinating look at kind of a technology and people's relationship with it, and people, and kind of what the modern relationship has become with how people interact with each other and with technology and with their life. But some fun facts, Cam. I don't know if you have the IMDb.
I don't have it pulled up. You got it.
Okay. There's not like a ton for this one. Not what was the one we just did that had like a ton? Ghost Story, another Rooney Mara movie from. So back to back weeks with Rooney Mara. I don't know if we really planned that, but shout out her.
Good actress.
Yeah, great actress. So another thing that is like a very film Twitter fact that, again, I need to just start realizing that like we're trying to educate people. Again, not everyone is obsessively online as we are, so I'm not going to assume everyone knows everything. But Rooney Mara and Joaquin Phoenix are of course married now, and they, like George said, this is where they met, or in terms of this is where their relationship kind of grew here, as George mentioned. So that very ironic that it's in a movie where, like you said, they're playing a divorced couple, but not only that, it's where Spike Jonze and Sofia Coppola actually got divorced, and now Sofia Coppola is like, I don't want to see Rooney Mara playing myself, knowing that she found true love when she's supposed to be devastated in this movie. One thing, just looking up stuff about Hoyte Van Hoytema, is one of the greatest cinematographers of all time. I just feel like a lot of people think of cinematography as like, how do you shoot the shot? Which, if you boil it down to its most basic thing, sure, yeah, it's how are you going to point the camera and get the shot? But the creativity, the lengths these people go to actually get a great shot is crazy. So this movie was filmed on location in the apartment. So Hoyte Van Hoytema, because anyone who's seen this movie knows there's so many gorgeous shots of that apartment, the skyscrapers looking over out of the city, the sunsets, beautiful colors. He got all the windows in that apartment he changed out. So he got someone to come in and change out all the windows to probably have like a better transparency or a different shade than the other apartments to get the better lighting. And there was an apartment building across the street on the 34th floor that he installed large mirrors on the helicopter platform on top, just massive mirrors with the sole purpose of just reflecting the sun in a certain way to give a better color light coming through the windows of that apartment for a better shot. And it's just like, that's just the crazy things that cinematographers will go through to get a great looking shot. Because I feel like Spike Jonze as a director probably says like, I want a sunset shot looking out over this balcony. And then Hoyte Van Hoytema runs with that and says like, all right, we need a construction crew to come in, change out all these windows. Across the street, you're going to have to go talk to that building property manager. We're going to have to install massive mirrors on their helicopter platform. Like, just crazy the stuff people have to do to make these movies as beautiful as they are, but it works out. And then lastly,
that's interesting.
The original cut of this movie is 150 minutes long, and Spike Jonze asked Steven Soderbergh, obviously another very acclaimed person in the movie industry, to edit it down. And Soderbergh came back 24 hours later with a 90-minute cut, but Jones's final cut ended up being 126 minutes. So it's just kind of funny because it's like basically close to the original
that's
cut.
A good balance.
Yeah, but I just feel like he's like, this is too long. I need to cut this down. He's like, all right, 150 minutes. I just cut out an hour of it. And he's like, we're gonna have to put like 40 minutes back in. Sorry, you cooked a little too hard here.
Yeah,
but this is one of my favorite movies.
Balance. It's not too long. 150 minutes probably would have been, for an intimate movie like this, where there's just kind of it's a lot of Joaquin Phoenix just kind of walking around yapping. That's really what he's doing. But it is also interesting to see like the kind of two sides of this in because Amy, played by Amy Adams, right, also is going through this kind of same thing, right? She's in love with a different AI or whatever, and then they kind of connect at the end. It's just interesting, and I know they mentioned that like 8,000 other people, but you actually seeing another person that's going through it, not a whole lot. Not as much as Joaquin Phoenix by any means, but it's good. It's a good look onto both sides of the story of multiple people going through, not just him.
It's just so impressive, the scene you guys were just talking about, the reveal where it's like, she's talking to 2,000 other men or whatever. Like, it's just Joaquin Phoenix sitting on stairs by himself. Yeah. Like, no one's playing off of him. And the ability to be able to just go through that range of emotions where he's so excited to talk to this woman to absolutely devastated. That scene's so damn good. And it's just him just sitting there doing it all on his own. That's just so awesome. I guess there's one more fun fact I want to throw out, which isn't really fun for Samantha Morton, but Samantha Morton, she's an actress she's been in a ton of stuff, but like you would never be like, oh yeah, like I know her from that. She's in Minority Report. She's in
Is she
Cinematography.
the original voice of Samantha?
Yeah, but I'm trying to see if there's anything that she's in so many movies, but I don't think any of them you'd be like, oh yeah, that's her.
Mhm.
But filmed the whole
Okay.
thing. She was the voice of the entire movie. The movie was done, edited, and everything. And then Spike Jonze basically just said like, it's just not right. We need like a different voice here. So they just redid all the voices of Scarlett Johansson. So Samantha Morton, because everyone now today, 10 years later, talks about how great Scarlett Johansson's voice acting is in this movie. You know, Samantha Morton, I wonder if she listens to this and she's like, God damn it, I really fumbled. If only I would have just brought 10% more
I would love to
raspiness or
hear like
energy in
her
the
cut of
recording
the
booth.
movie, or just like one scene, just to see
That,
what it sounds like.
That's what happened on Empire Strikes Back. Basically, the actor who plays not Empire Strikes Back, New Hope, the actor who plays Darth Vader, like thought he was going to be doing all the lines, so he like acts and says all of the lines, and you can he has like a very strong Irish accent, which nothing against Irish accents, but it just does not sound right in the Darth Vader costume, because like if you've ever watched behind the scenes, Empire of Dreams, great, very great documentary on Star Wars if you care, but you can hear some of him talking. It just doesn't work. Yeah, like at least
jokes.
Yeah, I think he was always like told like, hey, you're not going to be it, but I think he had like this hope that he would. So it definitely stinks more for Samantha Morton. So sorry she got booted from this.
This sucks.
Yeah, it just like she had to be in a recording booth recording an orgasm sound for minutes, and none of it ended up paying off. I'm sure she got paid, but yeah, that's all I have to say on her. I'd say it's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, it's up there for me. I think I entered this recording and I was like, is that the best movie ever made? It's fantastic. It might go up from a 95. Like I said, I haven't put it on Letterboxd yet, so maybe I'll pull it up a little bit. But 5 stars from all of us. We got to make Seth watch it at this point. I think he'll like it. I think he'll like it a lot. I was hoping to hear what he had to say about it, but I know he's with his family right now, so he's having a good time doing that.
I'm not getting my hopes up for the ReelTok collection, though. I don't think this is a Seth 5-star movie.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's got potential. We will see. George, Tyler, thank you for joining, everybody. Thank you for watching. ReelTokPodcast.com to find some merch. Patreon /ReelTok Podcast. Feel free to join either of those. They help out. Or you can just subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Those are free, and you can tell someone about us. Tell them to listen. Any support helps. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for joining, and we will see you on Monday.